So I want to talk about today how you can go from earning less to earning six figures. And this has always been a hot topic because of inflation and the fact that six figures was like a benchmark to live a pretty middle class or upper class lifestyle in the United States of America. Now, as we know, six figures is not what it used to be, and going into the future, it may not be anywhere near what it used to be. Six figures was considered a lot of money where you can live in a pretty nice size home, but now you can only buy more like starter homes to medium price homes in most cities because six figures is just not what it used to be. But six figures is still a good amount to shoot for because you're able to, after taxes, still have a good livable wage and take care of your family. Now, this video is going to be made for men today because men, you guys are the leaders of the community and you guys are the breadwinners of a lot of families still to this day. So you want to be able to take care of your kids, you want to be able to take care of your partner or spouse if you have one, and you want to be able to live a good life for yourself and be able to take care of yourself. So in today's video, we're going to teach men how to get to the six-figure mark if you already are not in a job where you're earning six figures. Now, back in the day, even as a female, I was looking for information like this, and YouTube didn't even exist when I entered corporate America. So, or maybe it was like, I think it started the following year after I graduated college and entered corporate America. So content like this I was looking for, and so there's a lot of people on YouTube and the internet looking for the same content. So make sure you guys are liking and subscribing to this channel so YouTube can push this out to other young men who are looking for this kind of content so they can be able to take care of their family and provide for themselves as well. So I would say the amount of people earning six figures is a lot higher than it used to be even 15 years ago. We are now at 20% of the population earning six figures. So the statistic says that 38 million Americans are at a six-figure income today, which is really, really high because back in the day, if you earned six figures, you were almost considered a millionaire or rich because that was considered a lot of money. You can do a lot of stuff on a six-figure income. I remember people would own like little boats. They would have a nice house, two to three cars in their yard. Six figures is not going as far as it used to, but at the same time, it is still a decent income for you to be able to provide for yourself. So I still say you should shoot for that benchmark and then go from there. So as far as households, when it comes to couples living together, there's about 54 million Americans couples who earn six figures. So like I said, the amount is increasing, but of course it's still not a lot of people. That's probably like 35% of the population. And we have over 300 and some people say 50 to 380 million people in this country. So we still got a little ways to go to, increase people's income to more of a livable wage compared to the low wages a lot of people are experiencing. So we're going to just go over some careers that can get you there. And I want you to weigh these careers. I have a video called, I can't remember the title, but it was basically about college. Should you go to college or not? You'll see that video if you check out my page. And it basically weighs, does it make sense to spend 4 to 10 years in college getting undergrad, masters, PhDs, doctorates, lawyer degrees? Does it make sense to do that? Or should you spend that amount of time in the workforce and saving and investing that money, and then in the same time frame, you will probably be at the income that you were expecting from those careers. Now, of course, if you want to do those kind of roles because that's just your passion, IT is your passion, being a doctor, lawyer is really your passion, of course, go for those roles because we're going to need people in those roles regardless, and especially in the medical field, we need people taking care of our elderly and our sick. But don't go to those roles just for the money because there's so many ways to make money now. You can make 6 to 7 figures and you never have to go to college. So if you decide to go to college, the roles that are going to pay you six figures out of college or very close to six figures are going to be a lot of roles in financial services like fund managers, accountants, asset management. I can't think of all the financial service, but they have financial planners, bankers, those kind of roles give you the potential to go to earn six figures. With, if not within the first year, within the first 3 to 4 years, you should be at six figures in those roles. Architects are also known to make pretty good money. I believe most of them start around 60,000 upwards to 80,000, depending on your city you live in. But over the next 3 to 5 years with experience, you're definitely over 1 to 200,000 a year. Sales managers, sales, a lot of sales jobs are commission based, but there are some that are salary based with a bonus. So you can definitely get 80 to around over six figures in those jobs. Engineers, I don't really know any engineers unless they're new out of college that make under 100K. Unless they are under maybe 3 years of work experience, then they may be, but after 3 to 5 years, they're definitely over 100K. Human resource managers are definitely over 100 to 200K a year. Pilots, any doctors, pretty much have reported doctors. There's so many sectors of medicine, but most doctors have reported over 100 grand to 500 grand a year in income. But also you got to look at the fact that they spent 12 years in school, and the medical degree probably cost them 200,000 to 400,000 as well. So they got to spend, if they don't have them, if they don't come from a wealthy family or upper middle class family, they may spend the next 10 years trying to pay that loan off. So you got to take into account the 10 years of school where you weren't making that much money, and then another 5 to 10 years of trying to pay off that loan. So you're looking at 20 years. And like I said, if you love that field, then go ahead and do it. But 20 years, you could really have, I'm going to show you where you could really have made some money, serious money, in that same time frame that you spent in school. IT professionals, IT managers, pilots is on the list, but I've heard of pilots, the airline industry really suffering, and flight attendants and pilots are not making what they used to make. They have to work a lot of overtime and take on different jobs for different, sometimes other additional airlines, just to piece together an income. Now, if you're a blue collar worker, there are jobs in the warehouse industry. Now, I know warehouse pays really low, especially, and it's a pretty hard job as well. But I do know a lot of warehouse jobs will let you get in the door with very little to no education. Sometimes you can even have a felony or criminal record, and they'll let you in the door. But I know with overtime and especially if you get a supervisor role, some warehouses are paying really well, where you can make 60 to 80 grand a year. And then we're going to talk about a way to add on to that and get to that 100K mark. Oil and gas jobs, there's jobs out in the oil field. I think they call them roughneck jobs. There's jobs on the out at sea on a oil rig platforms. There's jobs in the drilling on land, where they will hire people with they'll give you on-the-job training, or you can go get a certification from like OSHA, some other certifications. I don't know all of them, but when you apply for the job, they'll tell you, and then they will start you in the oil field. I know people in Texas that work at oil field jobs, and they have a high school diploma, and that's it. And they're able to find jobs within the $60,000 to $100,000 range. And I know when the oil market is doing really well, they have some offshore jobs that we're paying some of the guys. They will be gone for 4 to 6 weeks at a time. They'll come home for like 2 to 4 weeks, something like that at a time. And they were making anywhere from 80 to 200,000 a year with experience, overtime with experience. And they would just train you on a job for those kind of jobs. Truck drivers, CDL drivers. So I should have known that the job market was a little shaky when I was making the other content videos that I posted, because truckers and CDL drivers started complaining about being, in their truck with no job, and I guess they call them low boards or something, no jobs on their low board. And if that's not the right word, if you're a trucker and I didn't say it right, just know I'm not a trucker. I don't know all the terminology you guys use, but I believe that they were calling it like a board or their low board. And so the dispatcher was saying, sending them on jobs, the jobs will get canceled. They'll be stuck in their truck out in another state sometimes, waiting to be dispatched to other jobs. So I knew the CDL drivers were complaining that there's no work. For the last year of this video that I've been doing my research for the last year, they've been complaining that the job market slowed down. People were saying they never experienced where, in 10 or 20 years of having their CDL license, where they could barely have any work. They were making $300 to $500 a week. So they're really, instead of making, like on average they will make maybe 1,200 to $2,000 a week, and now they're making like 300 to 500. So when a CDL drivers start complaining about work, there might be something going on in our job market. But the CDL drivers that I did speak to said it's good to always have the CDL in your back pocket as an option, because once you get experience over the road, there's a lot of local companies that will hire you. I know there's jobs called fuel haulers. I know there's jobs called fuel haulers, and a lot of the gas stations will hire for these roles, and these petroleum companies. Sorry, I got something on my shirt. These petroleum companies, they will hire for these jobs called tankers and fuel haulers, and it's a certification called hazmat that you get. But once you have 1 to 3 years of experience, these jobs are paying between 28 to 45 an hour. And with the overtime, you're at anywhere from 100 to 200,000 a year, and all you needed was a CDL. You can't have any DWIs. They take DWIs very serious in this industry. I believe you can have a felony, as some of these companies will hire you with a felony, but if you get a DWI, it's almost like your trucking career job is over, unless you can find kind of like those little mom and pop companies that will take you. But all the major companies won't take you. They are really strict with the DWI. And also a lot of truckers said that if you even are caught in your personal vehicle drinking and driving, that goes on your record and it's reported back to the company that you were even drinking and driving in your own personal car, even if you were off duty from your job. So I made a video about stop drinking and how it affected your finances in your life. That's on my channel. Check that out. Hopefully you guys will quit alcohol, because it is really affecting the American people and their ability to save, invest money, and have a great life. So that is up there. So CDL, there's some great jobs out there if you're able to get the driving experience under your belt. They said a lot of people say you can get out of CDL school and find local jobs, but most companies are going to want you to do over the road for 1 to 3 years before they take you on. But once you get that experience, you can get some really, really high paying jobs. Now, even if the market is slow right now, that doesn't mean it's going to stay there forever. So look into CDL maybe in the future. Get your license now, but in the future, look into those jobs as far as, living in your truck, saving up your money, if that's something you want to do. Construction jobs, I know there's construction going on all over our society, so there's plenty of construction work. Construction work to me is some of the hardest work, because you're out in all kinds of weather elements, and it's dangerous. It's a dangerous job as well. But construction workers are reporting with some good overtime. You can definitely hit around 6 figures. You may be close to 6 figures, making like 80,000 a year. But sometimes, depending on how long you've been doing it, you can definitely get up to 100 grand. Mason, which are brick workers, I will put that under construction. Sheet metal workers, pipe fitters, plumbers, elevator installation. I know the elevator people who work in the elevator industry are in unions, so those could be some really good jobs for you. Electrician, which you got to go through an apprenticeship. I believe it's 3 to 5 years or something like that, but it's paid for, so it's no money out of your pocket, and then you can learn a new skill set. And once you work for a company for a while, you can go out on your own, and you can definitely, the sky's the limit with the electrician, because residential, you can probably make up to 6 figures, but when you start getting into commercial jobs, you're making way more than 6 figures. Aircraft mechanics and car mechanics, I think it fluctuates, because it's just depending on how good you are at your job. But I feel like with car mechanics, the sky's the limit in a sense, because there's always cars breaking down, and you just have once your name gets out there that you're a reputable auto body mechanic shop, I feel like you could just make as much as you want, and you can also hire people and get have your own body shop, and you can hire people. And so that's a good one to have. And also, I think this is a great job to have, not aircraft mechanics, because I'm sure that's regulated and you have to go work for an airline, or some private aircraft company. But auto mechanic, that's something you could do on the side if you have another job already. That's something you could do for people in your neighborhood or community, build your reputation that you could work on their car. Boiler makers, HVAC. HVAC has always been a blue collar job that has always had a lot of work in it, and especially when you become really good at it. Line installer and repair, Also, there's a lot of police departments right now in different cities, if you like working in law enforcement, that are paying, starting at 60 going up to 80, and then over 120,000 if you become like a constable or a detective, and plenty of overtime in the police force. So there's plenty of ways to make six figures there. You can also take on extra jobs as a police officer, a lot of private security and things like that. I believe that's another way police officers are making their income. Real estate sales is good money. And the last one I want to go over is nuclear plants. So nuclear plants, those jobs can be very unsafe at times. I know we have a plant in Texas and Pasadena that has blown up and caught on fire a few times, and I think the casualty has been around anywhere from 1 to 10 people over the years. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's very detrimental and devastating to the community and the families that had to suffer through that. If you are thinking about starting a side hustle while you have some of these jobs, if you're able to, because some of these jobs I name are very exhausting jobs with long hours, and it may not give you enough time to start a side hustle. But if some of those jobs you are able to start a side hustle just because you can't, you don't have enough overtime, or you don't have enough hours to make six figures working at those jobs, some other jobs you can look into is creating a digital product and getting it sold. If you have an idea, if an idea comes to you, God has brought that to your heart and your mind so that you can go out and create it. So don't brush it off as, oh, that nobody would use that service that I'm thinking about, or nobody would buy this product. If it's coming to your mind, it's most likely it needs to be invented or perfected, or there's room for you to also have a place in the market. Content creator and graphic design is also something you can look into doing if you're good at that. Car detailing, I did another video on side hustle. Car detailing is bringing people in a lot of money. I know I pay about $150 for my car, so you can charge anywhere from $100 to $200 depending on the type of car, and so that could be some really good extra money for you. A lot of people are doing a side gigs, food delivery with Uber, Lyft, Grubhub, Amazon, things like that. But I feel like those jobs, what people are saying, it might be a place for you in your market, but what I've been hearing from most people is they are now paying anywhere from $3 to $12 a ride, and sometimes it's not worth it to do those deliveries. But if you feel like you're in your area still profitable or a good side hustle for you, then go ahead and add that on. You can flip items. There are people making up to $250,000 a year plus, buying used clothes from the thrift store and reselling them online, or buying things from wholesale shops, buying things they're finding on a curve in neighborhoods. They'll find like things on a curve they can fix up and resell. And this one lady was making $250,000 a year by going to the thrift store and finding cheap but good quality items that still had their tags on them and reselling them on the internet and on eBay. So that might be an idea to find things in your community that you can flip. Consulting and tutoring, if you have a special skill set or knowledge that you can share with your community, look into consulting or tutoring. Videography is really big right now because everything has gone to video, so that's another way you can make $100 to $500 creating videos for people. Personal training, there's always Pilates studios and fitness centers hiring for personal trainers, so if you love fitness, make some money while you train people. Affiliate marketing has always been around, so if you know how to do that and you have some good products you can share with the community, build out your webpage and share those platforms with your community, and you can earn a small income from that. Real estate has always been a great way to earn extra income with Airbnb or renting out your room. That's called house hacking or buying rental properties. So let's get into rental properties. I got one for you. What we're going to do here is we're going to give you just an example. Your market might be a little different, so these numbers are just a rough example of what is possible. This doesn't mean these are the exact numbers you're going to buy your home for or your interest rate will be. But just an example, I know in Texas you can find homes between $250,000 and $300,000. Interest rates, you can do a buy down rate if you can't get a 6% interest rate right now, look into buying down the rate, getting it around 6%. So that's how I got this number. You can get it lower than that, but I'm just saying this is how I got this number. Because I know interest rates right now could be around 7% for some people, 7.25%, but you can buy it down and get it lower to the 6%. So let's say you find a house for $300,000, you put 10% down, and what you can do if you don't already own a home is live in that home. You can put as little as 3.5% down, but for this example, we're going to use 10%. So if you find a $300,000 home, you're going to put $30,000 down. We're going to assume that includes your closing costs and everything, your down payment. And you probably have to live in this house for 1 to 2 years if you don't have a lot of money. This is the strategy you're going to use. If you already have a home, then just put the $30,000 out. Well, if you already have a home, you're going to have to put 15 to 20% down, because that's what most investment property loans are requiring. Some lenders will let you put as low as 15% down, depending on your credit score, but most of them want about 20% down. So the cheapest route to go is to move into the property, live in it for a year or two, then rent it out. That's going to be the cheapest route to go. So for this example, the sales price of the house is $300,000. The down payment and the closing cost is 10%, $30,000. The home can rent for $2,500 a month. You're gonna have a cash flow, and your mortgage is $1,620 a month. You're gonna have a cash flow of $880 a month. In a year, that's gonna give you about $10,564 in a year. You're gonna need to do this 5 times, so you're gonna need to get 5 properties in order to get $50,000 in income a year. So if you have a job and you're making about $50,000 a year and you're trying to get to 6 figures, so that other $50,000 that you're trying to earn, you're going to need roughly around 5 properties to get that other $60,000. Now, like I said, give or take, because you can probably find a few properties, 3 properties that can get you that, depending on your market and where you're located. On average, this should take the average person working a $50,000, $80,000 a year job. This should take you about 3 to 8 years to accomplish. So that is a strategy that you can use to add additional income to the income you're already making at a job. Now, let's say you decide you want to go the stock market route, equities. This is what I was talking about when I was saying that when you go to college to be, let's just say, a lawyer, a doctor, some of those higher degrees, masters, MBAs, PhDs, that's going to take you anywhere from 5 to 8, 12 years, depending on what you're trying to do. So in the meantime, you could have been investing in equity at the job you already have, and then in that same time frame, you could have this amount of money already saved up. So let me show you how to do this. Okay, so instead of spending money on college and going into debt for many years and then taking yourself out of the workforce, or not being able to take on a second job or a side hustle, you can do this instead. You can, all right, so let's do okay. This is assuming you have a side hustle, because if you're making $50,000 at one job, you probably can't save $47,000 a year, right? Because that'll be your whole income, and taxes were taken out of that $50,000 you're making. So what you're gonna do is take on a side hustle and side job, and then if you're able to, between your day job and that side job, if you're able to put a $47,000 a year away, and this, people have done this, so don't say it can't be done, because people have actually done this. You're able to put $47,000 a year away, and you're getting 7% annual return. It's going to take you about 10 years to come up with $700,000. And the reason why you need the $700,000 is because when you get the dividends and invest in the dividends and the interest off this money, that is going to give you that $50,000 a year. So this is if you're able to save at that high of a rate, meaning you're probably living either with family, roommates, friends, whatever. You're probably living a really maybe conservative lifestyle, minimalist lifestyle, and you're just pretty much putting away the majority of your checks. You don't have a lot of debt because you didn't go to college, you're saved on that part. So you're basically putting away most of your income. If you can do this for 10 years, and I know some immigrants who did something similar to this, so that's why I'm using this example. Most Americans can't think like this because we've been consumers for so long that we're trying to we just don't think about living with people and saving up this money, whereas immigrants there, this is what they're doing. This is why they can start businesses after a certain amount of years of being in this country. You see them opening up shops and businesses because they're high savers. All they really live off of is they have a place to live, and then they have food, they have shelter, they have maybe some clothes and phone bill, whatever. But after that, they're really not spending money on anything else. So they're able to just put all their income away for 10 years. If you're able to do this, you're gonna have $700,000 in 10 years. Now, if that is too high for you, then the next option is $28,000 a year at a 7% interest rate, annual return with dividends. So $28,000 a year is going to take you 15 years. So if you were thinking about going to med school, and you're like, med school is going to be 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of med school, then 2 to 3 years of residency, you're already looking at 8, 9, 10, 11 years in school. Well, if you put away $28,000 per year for 15 years, even though that's not 11 years, a little bit more than 11 years, but you'll have $700,000, and you won't have to work for anybody else again if you choose not to, because you'll have $50,000 a year in passive income coming from that $700,000 investment. So you can have a $50,000 a year job, and then you just add the extra $50,000 you're making off of your investments, and now you're at $100K. Or you can just quit the $50,000 your job you're working and just live off of your $50K, just depending on how you want to do this. Now, if $28,000 is still too high for you, you don't know how you're going to put away $28,000 a year because you have other obligations. You now started a family maybe, and you're just like, that is not even possible. Or let's say you have two people working, husband and wife. If you guys can put away one check, then this might be possible to do. If you got to make some sacrifices to get this done, you guys. But once it's done, you can live the rest of your life, go into your 60s, your 70s, your 80s, and you're set for life. If you can pull this off, if you are disciplined, you can do this. All right, so because I have a lot of immigrant clients that have done it, that's how I know this is possible. I think when I talk to more American people, they feel like it's not possible. When I talk to immigrant clients, they're just like, yeah, because we came over here with nothing anyway, and we want to eventually work for ourselves, and we know we have to save up and invest in order to get to that point. The only thing with some of the immigrant clients is they sometimes won't use the stock market, or they do use real estate. They do believe in owning a home and things like that, but sometimes they're a little afraid of the equity market because they don't understand it, because sometimes in their country it's just set up a little different. So they don't trust banks sometimes, or they don't trust the government, things like that, and they don't understand equity enough to do it. So they'll try to do this using their earned income. So their earned income will sit in like a bank account and just sit in a checking account with no dividends being earned, no returns being earned on their money. And they'll do this for years just with their own money. Whereas if they put this in the market, they would have already had close to $1 million saved up, and it would have been the money, the principal balance, plus all this dividend and interest that accumulated over the years would have compounded on that money. And they sometimes won't do it that way, so it would take them many years to get the money together when it could have taken them less time. So if you could put away, another example is if you can put away $17,000 a year, which shouldn't be too hard, because even if you did a 401k, which you may not be able to liquidate it when you quit your job, or if you decide to quit in a few years, but you can definitely borrow against it. But a 401k, if you put up like $10,000, $10,000 a year, and your company's matching the other $7,000, then you can definitely get to $17,000 a year. But let's say your company's not matching you, or you don't want to put in a 401k because you won't have access to, as far as liquidating the whole amount, and you can't really maybe be able to live off of it right away. You could just put the $17,000 for 20 years into an equity fund, and then you will have the $700,000 you need to get the extra $50,000. So what I'm just basically trying to say is there's ways to not necessarily have a six-figure job, but still eventually get to a six-figure income by using these strategies. So I just want to show you some additional ways so that you're not sitting back feeling defeated because you feel like, well, I can't, because of my skill set or maybe my education level, I've been applying, but none of these six-figure jobs will hire me. Instead of waiting for somebody to give you a six-figure job, start creating a six-figure portfolio so that you can live off the residual income from it, and then you can get to that six figures whether a job gives you six figures or not. Because
as we can see, as with today's job market, a lot of people are reporting that companies are trying to lower wages on people. They're advertising jobs at one rate, but when it's time to hire you on and negotiate, they're trying to give you a lower wage. So instead of fighting, you can always ask for more, and negotiate your salary. But instead of waiting around for years of your life, waiting for these six-figure jobs to come, find a way that you can create it on top of the income you already have, and then you'll be at the six figures. Now you can save more, you can invest more, you can get to you can build $1 million portfolio way faster. So guys, I just wanted to share this with men because I know y'all are the pillars of our community, y'all are the breadwinners, y'all are the leaders of our community, and I want to show you a way that you can do this. I'm going to be dropping content every week. Make sure you guys are liking and subscribing to this channel so YouTube can push it out and help other young men in looking for this type of content. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you're checking out my other videos. I have a lot of great gems in there about how you can build an escape plan for yourself and get out of these dreaded jobs and one day have the ability to work for yourself or either retire fully from some of these corporations that aren't paying you what you're worth. They're draining all your energy. They're taking you away from your family and your kids, and you're not even being paid what you're worth at some of these jobs, and they're just lowballing you or not giving you your raises every year. And if you're just fed up and sick and tired of it, just keep tuning into this channel so that I can drop some gems for you, help you navigate what's going on in this economy. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna see you guys in the next video.